Welcome to Make It Plain from Make Plain Jesus Ministries, featuring Pastor James Bryan, where we take biblical truths in everyday situations and break them down to be as plain as possible. So, stay tuned and enjoy the broadcast.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the latest installment of Make It Plain. I'm your host, James Bryan, and I'm excited to be here with you again just to share some things that we believe will help you. And so hopefully by now you've followed us long enough to know that there are many different things that we will share with you that can be encouraging on various topics. Sometimes it's business, sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's internal assessments of ourselves and many other things that will go on. But they're all based on the Bible itself. And so we get to have this opportunity while you're with me, and hopefully you can stay with me for the duration of this particular version or the episode of Make It Plain, that we can talk about Jesus cares about time off. Jesus cares about time off. Some of you may think, time off? What is that? It may even be a foreign topic to some of you. I'm talking to you with a great shout out to you workaholics over there. Do you even know what time out is? I'm not talking about time out from the child perspective, but time out from what it is that you're doing, or in other words, time off. I know that that's a concept that some of you would say, I wish I could have some time off, some time out and away from what I normally do. I wish I could have a day or a week or whatever it might be. Some of you are longing for that particular opportunity. And some of you will say, that's overrated. It's overrated. I don't need that. And so we have to look at ourselves and understand that Jesus cares about your time off. Some of you may say, sure he does. He doesn't really care about that. He just cares about what we do. Yes, but time off is part of what we do. And so I remember having a conversation with a gentleman a number of years ago, a Christian gentleman that I knew, and we were talking, and I know that at the time he was working 2 or 3 jobs, and I said to him, I said, look, you got to make sure that you get rest sometime. You got to be able to take some time off. You know what his response was? And I know he was doing it from a Christian perspective per se. But the more I thought about it over time, I'm like, man, that's not the right way. And I know we have to do what we have to do for a time, but you still need to have time off. His response was, well, when I go home to be with the Lord, that's when I can rest. Until then, I'll just keep working. And I'm thinking, he probably thought that was a great spiritual answer. But the problem is, our bodies are not designed to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I used to do that when I was younger, and I used to work a lot of hours. But what I found out was my body could only do that for a period of time, and then I would finally get to the point where I would crawl in my bedroom and crash for like 24 hours straight. And I thought, this isn't healthy. I can't keep doing this. My body is not designed for that. No one's body is designed for that. And that is a true statement. And we're not designed to go that way. I've known people that I've worked with, that their way of dealing with being fatigued is they used to get those espresso chocolate snacks that they would say, well, I'm eating chocolate and it has a lot of espresso in it and it picks me up. So they would just pop it one after another and they would stay up, but it's not good for the heart. And so people would always try to get around this topic about taking time off because for whatever reason, either they felt like they couldn't or they shouldn't, and they didn't. And so it's not a healthy thing for us to always think that we can continue going and going and going. We have to make sure that we understand that time off is built into the way that God designed us. There are many people that I've known, and you may be one of them, right? There are many people that I've known that felt like things only got done if they were there. Therefore, they have to do it. Therefore, they can't take time off. And so that's not good. There are many people that have taken that attitude, but eventually they have real health problems, heart problems, and everything else. We don't want that for you. We want to make sure that you consider your schedule. You consider, well, is there a way that I can begin to interject time of rest, time away, time out of what I'm normally doing? And so when you do that, you begin to see that your quality of life is better when you're able to take time away. You see, I want to give you a revelation. You ready? You think you can handle this? Okay, think about it this way. Even Jesus took time off. Oh, big statement, right? Even Jesus took time off regularly. And you may say, well, he's the Son of God. He didn't need time off. But he lived in a way for us to pattern after him. And he's expecting us now to learn of him and how he went about doing the things that he did. And so when we think about it, there's a part in the Bible, in the Gospels, where it talks about, he and his disciples, he fed 5,000, and he had the support of his disciples. When they fed 5,000 when they were in the wilderness just teaching, and then they realized they needed food. But see, what we may miss is before all of that happened, there was something else, a miracle that Jesus did, that afterwards, he tells his disciples, he says, look, come away with me for a while and get some rest. Because the Bible says that they didn't have time to even eat because so many people were going and coming. So Jesus himself took his disciples away to allow them to rest and not burn out. You see, burnout is a real thing, even back during the time that Jesus' ministry was on the earth. Burnout can be a challenge unless you're able to interject it with time away or time off. So Jesus, in essence, literally said, come away with me. Come away from everything else. This is something that folks that are very engaged in ministry need to learn. Ministry pulls you all the time. Even when you're not physically at a church or a ministry that moment, you're thinking about the things that need to get done. And so you're constantly working, and with the phone calls that come and the meetings that come and everything else. And if you're one who travels a lot, or you're an itinerant type preacher or whatever it might be, you get to the point where you're always going. But Jesus would have us realize that there has to be downtime. There has to be time away for your own good. What good is it to work so hard continuously, but the longevity of what you're doing is very short because you never recharge? And so that's what we have to understand. For those who just heard that, I want to make sure you tell everyone else that you know that's in ministry or even in the business world that feel like they have to work all the time. You want your longevity to be there, so you interject time off. So Jesus was telling them that. He was telling them that, look, when you come away, you need to recharge yourself. Ministry, the needs will still be there, but you have to recharge so that you can be of value. I would even tell you that Jesus is a great one, that he follows his own examples. When I think about it, I realize that he did this often. Throughout the Gospels, you would see that he would go away to himself and pray. He would go away in that time of prayer, especially when they talked about him praying all night. He would pray to recharge and to make sure he's reconnected to the source of life, that he and the Father were still in connection, that he was doing the will of the Father. So he had to go away at times. We have to do that also. And so Jesus went away even before making major decisions. How many of you at times find yourself, you got to make a major decision, but you're still trying to do everything else at the same time. And sometimes you may look back at those big decisions and realize the quality of that decision wasn't where it should have been, or the standard wasn't where it should have been. And the reason is because you didn't have time away to refocus, recharge, rethink, and to see things better. I would encourage you to think about this because Jesus cares about your time off. You need to care also. And so that's something that is very important for your ministry, for your business, for your family, for yourself. Now, you may say, well, I don't know how to take time off. Or you may fall into this group of folks that I've known, and they say time off is overrated. I've heard that so many times. Time off is overrated. Or something close to it that says, every time I take time off, when I come back, the work just piles up higher. It's not worth it. I would tell you, no matter how much work piles up, it is worth it. Because, again, the quality of what you're giving for your ministry, your job, whatever it is, dwindles when you're fatigued. You're not thinking things through as clearly. And the longevity in which you can do that dwindles. So you have to have time out. It's a mandatory type thing. And so you have to realize, yep, the work will be there. But for this period of time, whether it's a day, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is, I've got to get myself reacclimated. And then when I get back, yep, we'll deal with tomorrow. For the tomorrow will take care of itself. We'll deal with the next week. For the next week will take care of itself. But right now, I am recharging. So let me give you some thoughts then. If you're taking time off, some of you may say, I don't know what to do because all I've ever done was work. I don't know how to take time off. What does that really mean? Because in the past, when I've gone places, I've still worked. Some of you may fall in that category, right? Well, let me tell you a couple of things. Something for you to consider. When you're taking time off, make sure you have quality. Quality. What I mean by that is if you're taking time off, take the time. Not go into another physical place and still do everything you were doing before. Take the time. Do something different. Make sure that time, whatever the duration is something that truly does recharge and replenish you. Some of you may be at a loss where you just don't know what to do that will do that for you. I would say try some things. For some of you, it's just going and playing golf. And maybe that's an answer for you. Maybe golf is what really relaxes you on a regular basis. So maybe you take a golf vacation. Some of you, if you're like me, at least pre-pandemic, was cruising. There's something about being on a nice cruise in the water that totally relaxes you and puts time to a point where it slows down. And you're able to say, it recharges you. Yes, work is still piling up and everything else, but it's okay because you're getting recharged so that you can then tackle it later. Let me give you a little secret between me and you, right? And that is, I used to, and this isn't the case anymore, but early on in my career, I liked cruising because it was very hard for work to call me when I'm in the middle of the ocean sailing. And so I didn't worry about that. My mobile phones didn't work till I got to a port. Well, then later on, over time, you realize that, yeah, you can still get connected. Things are connected all over and you can still do all those things. But fortunately, when I've gone on those cruises, I have been left alone so that I get totally relaxed. And I know there's a point about the number of days and time that I need to go before I get totally relaxed. So I get that. So I plan that way. But some of you, cruising may not be the thing. It may be just going in nature and hiking. There's a colleague that I worked with at one time that his thing was he liked camping and hiking. So there's a part in Canada that he would always go to. And he would go there and just go for 2 weeks or more because he worked around the clock. But once or twice a year, he would just go and do that particular trip. And that was how he relaxed and recharged. And every time he came back, he looked like a different person all the way around. So what about you? What things do you like to do? Do you have hobbies? Do you like traveling? Do you have a place that you like to go? If not, just try some places. And in your trying, you may get to the point that you begin to understand what you like and what you don't like. And from there, you can begin to have an impact on your mental and physical well-being. You see, the whole thing here is Jesus wants us to be able to finish the race. He wants us to be able to have the impact over time that he envisions. And he also knows that the only way we can do that is if we rest. There was one time that I fell into the trap of realizing, or thinking anyway, that I didn't need much rest. I can do this. All I got to do is kick it in the second gear. When I'm tired in the second gear, I kick it in the third gear. I always had a gear to go to. But there was one time Jesus got my attention. Got my attention big time. And he had somebody call me, someone else call me, and I'm just going doing my thing. And they said, "This is what I hear from the Lord." Okay, what's that? And the answer was, "You are not God. You need to rest." And it kind of stopped me in my tracks. I stopped typing. I dropped everything because inside it witnessed that this was a godly statement. I said, "Oh, I got to really stop now." And so this was one of those things that I believe was a warning to me, because I was going and going. I felt like I can do it. I can make it. Maybe no one else can handle it, but I can. And so it became something that I always remember because it sunk in that deep. And so I had to realize that I have to learn how to do different things to help me to rest. And then once I get that rest, I'm ready to run again at full speed. And then when I know that it's about that time again, then I have to rest. So this is what we need to understand. We all together have a lot that God would want us to do. And even if we don't totally realize the whole extent of his plan, but we realize he wants us to go in a certain direction, well, we need to go in that direction as far as we can. But the only way you can do that is if you interject periods of rest. Now, the last area I want to tell you about this, though, is quality matters. And then you have to make sure that your focus is right. Meaning that when you're resting, you include him in your rest time. You meditate on, think about the things, here's some easy things. Think about the things that he's done for you. Think about the places where he's brought you from. Be grateful for how he's played a part in your life. If you're not sure what part he's played, stop now and begin to think about it. Think about things that just seem to work out for you. Things that seem to just happen on your behalf. It's not because you made it happen. It's because of his grace working in you. Think about that during your rest times. And then as you're resting and meditating, think about things that will calm you down, not so much agitating. So sitting and watching news all day isn't restful. If you're watching something on television, something that is entertaining that takes you away from everything else, maybe it's listening to certain types of music that you can just relax with. Maybe that's the answer for you. But I would say take some time to think about it. What is it that causes you to rest? Where can you go at times? Maybe you have a great tranquil backyard that you can go for a period of time. Well, then maybe your answer is a staycation for a day or 2 or 3. That no one bothers you that time, and you get to just go and sit in the yard. The challenge is when you're home, you think of all the other things the chores that you could be doing around the house, the improvements and things. I want to urge you that don't fall to that. Don't fall for that temptation. Instead, just relax and enjoy. Take a nap. Do whatever you have to do to give you that relaxation. I want to see you in the race for a long time to make sure that you finish it. I want to know that you have spent this time doing what the Lord said and you didn't burn out. You were able to go through it. I want to know that you had the energy and stamina to withstand the headwinds that often come from time to time in your life, and that you're able to just push right on through it. I want to know that you begin to realize that you're able to trust God in a way that, and you're able to see him working, and that inspires you even more for you to have yet your, what I call your second win. These are things that I want to see. I want to hear from you that this is what's working, because now you're taking deliberate time to take time off. And the reason you do it is because Jesus cares about your time off. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Hopefully you would take the time to really consider what we were sharing. We shared a number of different things about time off, a number of examples, but just think about it for a minute and apply it to yourself. And then put it to work. Quality and focused time off is important. Duration matters to a degree, but duration by itself without the first two isn't as important. So hopefully this is a good talk that we're having, a good podcast episode, and I ask that you share it with others, that it would be a benefit to them. And until next time, may God bless you.